Hey guys, this is a nursery azalea that I've recently purchased, and I want to see, so right now you can see it's probably in the container close to 2 feet tall. I'm going to make it a very small tree, maybe 6 inches. Maybe that's where I'll cut it back to. Maybe eventually it'll be a little taller than that, but first thing I'm going to do is tease it out of this bucket. I did go through and there was a lot of weeds and old leaves and stuff in here, so before, when I first got them home, I cleaned them up like that. But alright, I want to look at a couple of things here. Looking at this tree, one of the first decisions I'm going to make when I'm thinking about this, because that's really the hard part. The technical part's easy. I'm going to saw it off and prune it down. But how do you know what to cut and what not to cut? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is look at the base of the roots. And I notice on this side I have nice flat roots coming out, spreading out. Big heavy root here, but it's still at the same level as these, so I got a pretty wide spread right there, maybe maybe 4 or 5 inches across the whole thing. If I turn it around and look on this back side, it appears to be flat. I would think the roots are a little further down, so I'm going to have to find those roots. But chances are strong that this will end up the front of the tree. So I need to make some decisions about the trunks before I go any further. I don't like to cut these branches with pruners, because that sometimes will split them. So instead I like to use a fine little saw, and I also don't like to take these guys. It really depends. I have to think hard about where I'm going to take these guys, because one of the things I want to do is notice how this branch comes out and then it splits off. Well, if I were to cut this here, I'm starting totally over from scratch. But if I were to start this here, and then I could entice something to grow here and something to grow here, it would only take a shorter amount of time to get to this. So I like to think in those terms. I can always come back and cut it off later if I need to cut it off, but I can't put it back on. So I'm going to make a cut about right here. So no breaking the branch, squeezing it down. I'll take the small one off similarly. Takes very little time, you see, to really make some cuts on these guys. Severe cutback. Drastic pruning. Lots of different names for this. Okay. These smaller ones I can cut with my pruners, no big deal. Alright. I think I want this one about half the height that is. So I'm going to go ahead and recut it shorter than what I had originally cut it. as I look at this one, it's too long also. So now that I'll cut this off. Okay, not a final design by any means. That's all I'm going to do to the top today. I'll seal these wounds. So now the next step is to go ahead and root prune it. You can fight with these guys, but you know azaleas make these hard, compact root balls. That went through once I got it in my right hand. But okay, look at that. All fine roots. I think I can go even shallower on this tree, so I'm going to cut again. Not much or anything. Okay. So now we've gone from a 3-gallon root ball to that. Even though the roots are better on the back side because the trunk kind of leans towards you this side, it feels a little more comfortable. Might be able to do something like this ultimately, but for now I've done all I'm going to do to this tree. I might carve out the roots a little bit more. I might trim up the roots a little bit more. Nice clean cuts. I'll probably spray it with a water hose. In fact, I'll do that. Alright guys, after I've done a little more root pruning and cleaning and hit it with the water hose, this is what it looks like. Next step will be to put it in a pot. Last step will be to cover the wounds.